in order to go racing. We've got to get some practice and qualifying in first, and let's see who's going to be the fastest man out on track at Desi's Raceway for the very first round of the South African GT Racing Association. Big pressure at the front end, and Scribanti set early pace. Silvio looking really good in the Lamborghini Huracan. See whether or not he can keep it at the front end, but I think he's going to be pushed hard by Michael Steven and by Charles Orangis. Certainly a big battle expected between those three drivers and those three cars. Looks like Silv's got a little bit of an issue out there. A little bogged down out of the one corner through turn 6 and 7. Great to see Zolile Leclerc not only putting his money where his mouth is, but also getting into one of the cars as part and parcel of the Stradale Motorsport team. And that Stradale into Africa Lamborghini is also looking pretty tasty. Just outside of the top 5 at the moment. So there might be a little bit of issues there on the Ferrari. We'll keep an eye on that. Jade Goodsight will be partnering up with Isak Spies in the second of the McLarens. And coming out of the Ultimate Raceway team, certainly a car to watch out for. Particularly with Jade Goodsight behind the wheel. But though, Isak Spies is doing an incredible job out here for qualifying and setting some very good pace to put him onto the second row of the grid. I did say it was tight. It certainly is. You could have your wits about you around this track. Any mistake and you could end up going into the thicket on the outside of the circuit. This little dam on the left hand side you're going to be keeping an eye on as well. And don't go off at the top because you'll head straight to the hillbillion. Some good lap times coming out of Spies though. Really putting the pressure on at the front end and looking to try and emulate what Michael Steven is doing at the front of this with Charles Orangis. At this stage, looks like it's going to be a battle between the two of them. Aldo Scribanti out on circuit as well. He'd love to be in the top 4. No team orders in Scuderia Scribanti, but of course there will be every man for himself out on circuit. Leclerc eventually gets through on the Ferrari, but the Ferrari looks like it might be battling a little bit out there. A little bit of issues there, I think, for Patamba. Let's see whether or not he's able to get that all sorted out. Charles Orangis absolutely flying at this point in time. Can he do anything about Michael Steven? It's going to be very close between the two of them as we get into the closing stages here of the practice and qualifying. Michael Steven sitting pretty just a car back from his closest rival, Charles Orangis, and applying a little bit of pressure there onto the back end of Aldo Scribanti. Scribanti eventually allowing him through, realizing that I think Michael Steven is probably a little bit quicker than he is. Mikael Patamba out in the BMW Z4, also looking very good. Young driver stepping up and of course into a very, very competitive motor car. Nicely done, up over 3 and 4 and down towards turn 5. Head down the hill. Basically on the reverse of what would the hill climb circuit be here at Desi's Raceway. And he looks pretty tasty out there. And the man is looking very good as well. One of our lone Porsches out there for the Bigfoot Express Freight Racing team. Son Mudley's in the house. New colours on the team. And good to see that Son is still flying the flag high for all the Porsche fans in the audience. Very seasoned campaigner when it comes to this form of racing. And of course with the South African GT Racing Association partnering up with the South African Endurance Racing Series, it's great to have him not only participating in the 2 1 hours, but he'll also be involved in the 6 hour. Arnie Neveling, always a man to watch out for. Valve Fluid Services and Systems machine there, the Porsche coming out of Stradale Motorsport. And Neveling might just be pressed for a little bit of additional power compared to the Lamborghinis and the McLarens, but that Porsche has got a really good turn of pace around the circuit and could potentially be in the mix by the time where checkered flag drops after race 1 and 2 later on. Michael Steven though setting the pace and absolutely blowing the rest of the competitors away as the flag comes out. Looks like he's going to put it onto pole position. It'll be interesting to see who's got up into second place now. Just waiting for those cars to come in. Silvio Scribanti just outside of that top 2. Didn't quite get there, but certainly pushed hard to try and get there. So did Aldo. Aldo was just outside of the top 4. And Son Mudley also looking good with the sun glinting off that windscreen. Zolile Leclerc putting in some great pace too. Watch out for him in race 1 as he'll try and get through the field. As we saw a little bit of issues there on the Ferrari, but let's go and have a look and see exactly what happened in qualifying with the official results. First position going, of course, to Michael Steven alongside Charles Orangis in the number 13 Lamborghini. And the second row of the grid, great drive from Silvio Scribanti to line up alongside Isak Spies. Then it's Aldo Scribanti in 5th place, and a good effort there from him. Final preparation being done to a couple of the cars that are about to roll off. It will be a rolling start for the South African GT Racing Association, with Michael Stephen dictating the pace once that Haval has moved off the circuit. A little bit of issues there for Silvio Scribanti. Looks like he might have stalled the car. He'll get a chance to get it restarted and get going again. Harry Arangis has started as well in the Ferrari, but it looks like he's also going to be right at the back. I saw Eric Schultz just running over there to make sure he's okay. He is okay. He'll get a chance to slot back into his position, but he'll have to get through the field pretty rapidly, and there's not a lot of opportunities to pass here at Desi's Raceway, which we're about to see. Where these guys are going to find areas to pass will be interesting indeed. Waiting for Silvio to come through. He should be allowed through to resume his position. I think they've allowed him to get through there. He's made his way back up and slowly but surely slotted up into that second row. Trying to get some heat into the Michelin rubber is always an incredibly difficult thing to do, particularly when it's a little bit overcast. But of course, humid conditions here and a little bit of a breeze are going to make for ideal racing conditions here for our first race of the season. They roll around and come out of the southern loop. And as they come out of that southern loop, keep an eye out on Michael Stephen as he'll dictate the pace across the line. Remember, no acceleration until the lights go out. You hold your acceleration until those lights go out. Watch out for Arangis, and look at how Scribanti is coming through there right from the word go. A little bit of issues from the Ferrari. It looks, problems for the Ferrari right on the start as well. But first, unfortunately, out of this one. But down into turn 1, around the outside comes Charles Arangis, looking for a way through there on Michael Stephen. Has he been able to make it stick? Yes, he has. He's got the inside line for turn 2, so he'll be able to cement that overtaking maneuver and move up into the lead of the race. We've got an hour to go. And it should be interesting stuff now as we see Scribanti diving onto the tail and under the wing there of Michael Stephen. I'll start there from Isak Spies. He's moved up to 4th place, getting through there on Aldo Scribanti and maintaining that gap at this point in time as they head down the hill towards turn 5 and 6. I'll start from the Tlaka as well. He's got just ahead of Sun Mudley. Just in the background we saw the Into Africa mining machine, that Lamborghini just ahead of the Porsche. But at the front end it's Lamborghini versus McLaren. In fact, it's a McLaren sandwich there because the two Lamborghinis are the bread, with the meat in the middle being Michael Stephen. Isak Spies trying to hang on to the back and hasn't quite been able to get onto the back end of that first group. Issues, as I said, for the Ferrari. That's a big pity to see that Ferrari so slow. But nevertheless, we'll be able to see that car get better and better, and I'm sure with a little bit of development on it. It has got a lot of development behind the scenes in that car in the past, but it hasn't been on track for a long time, which is probably one of the reasons why it's battling today. First lap in anger, and the first lap of the South African GT Racing Association completed. And we've had a good start so far. The Tlaka from Sun Mudley, from Katamba. Katamba ahead there and pushing hard, trying to stay just at the front end of the second Porsche on track. Keep an eye on the background as well as we come through there for the very first time and down the hill again. It's through a very twisty little section. Once they get down the hill, of course, it's a long, different way of handling things here in the circuit. With Desi's Raceway, it's a little bit tighter than most, but it proves to be, and always has proven to be, a great racetrack for incredibly tight classes. And that's what we're seeing with the top 3. Remember, we've got a pit stop that has to happen at some point as well. We've got opportunities to come into the pit lane. It's a compulsory pit stop. If you've got 2 drivers in the team, you don't have to worry about getting out of the car because you're going to do a driver change. If you're only one driver in the car, you have to get out the car, put both feet on the ground, and then be able to get back into the car before they refuel, and if you have to have tires as well. Like this surface though, and at this circuit, it's highly unlikely they'll have to do a tire change because the surface is so good, and I don't think it's going to have too much degradation on those Michelins that they're using for the weekend. Top 3 getting away though, and they're starting to open up a little bit of a margin. Looks like Michael Stephen is just marking the man in first place. Not going to push him too hard. Back end, still some pressure there, and of course a little bit of pressure coming onto the back end now, as you can see from the second Bigfoot Express Freight Porsche. Going to close down there on Patamba. Across the line goes Arangis from Stephen from Scribanti, Silvio, the lead Scuderia Scribanti Lamborghini, and that Scuderia concrete machine doing a superb job so far of maintaining just a sort of a targeted gap here between the top 3. A little bit of breathing room there from Michael Stephen. Doesn't want the car to heat up too much. Also doesn't want to let Charles Arangis get away too much as well. He's got to keep his eyes on the rearview mirror because there is a little bit of attention being shown there from Silvio Scribanti, as there is here on the second of the McLarens. Ranjis completes another lap. Guys are going to be starting to think about what they need to do in terms of pit stop strategies. How are those going to change things up? The only car that's going to have a driver change will be that one that Isak Spies is in, the McLaren there from the LSP group and Ultimate Raceway. He'll be handing over to, of course, a man who's had hours around the circuit and oodles of time as well, and a multiple champion in his own right in all forms of motorsport, Jade Goodsite. He's won the Roof of Africa. He's done some international enduro and off-road racing. He's done national championships in both enduro and off-road, V8 supercars, time attack events, hill climb events, you name it. Jade Goodsite's done it, and now for the first time this weekend we'll get to see him in a South African GT Racing Association GT3 car, courtesy of the LSP group. Letlaka also hanging on, just keeping son Moodley at bay for now, but Moodley matching him at almost every single turn, not letting Letlaka get away, waiting for an opportunity, maybe a bit later on in the race. Oh, Patamba makes a small mistake coming out of turn 6. And now heads down the hill. He's just keeping it all together at the back end of the field, and doing the best that he can to try and match the pace of these cars up front. We spoke about earlier on the balance of performance. Michael Stephen has driven all the cars and has basically said, I think there was about a 5% difference between these cars and hardly anything in it in terms of top end. So it's now all about the drivers and their skill to ensure that their cars stay in the positions that they want to be to get onto the podium at the end of the first race. Our endurance makes it slightly different to normal sprint racing you would have seen these cars in, but this is what these cars are built for. They're not built to do sprint races, they're built to do endurance racing, as we've seen in the Intercontinental GT Championship. And Michael Stephen, Charles Ranjis and Silvio Scribanti have all had opportunities to drive in that series, so they'll certainly know exactly what it takes to be involved at international level as well as at national championship level now here as well. All three of them participating in the Kyle Army 9 now in one of the two versions that we've had so far. It's certainly something that they'll be using in terms of their experience. Here we go on board with Isak Spies. Nice to see the inside cockpit of this car. And Spissy working hard, remember, to try and keep out the attentions there of Aldo Scribanti, who's on his tail. In-car communication will be telling him exactly when he needs to be worried about any attentions behind him, and also when he needs to be coming in to do that driver change with Jade Goodsite. Aldo keeping him right within his sights though, and in fact closing in rapidly here. Aldo Scribanti looks like he's up for a bit of a change up here. Wants to move up one position into the top 4, and he's applying a bit more pressure onto Spies than what he has been all race long. So it looks like he could be in a bit of trouble here, Isak Spies. Aldo's certainly going to try and capitalise on any mistakes that Spissy makes as they go down across the line, completing another lap. Great to see some of the local media guys out here as well, giving this series a bit of extra punt on social media as well as in the papers. I'm sure the South Coast Herald will be very happy with what they're seeing so far here today. I think that was Colin on the side that will be giving us a little bit of extra attention as well. Colin on cars and his report going all around the world as well on his social media sites. Looks like Letlaka's been able to just hang on. Not quite sure why son Moodley hasn't given him a bit more, but maybe son's waiting as well. Doesn't want to go too early, and maybe just give up his intentions or his ideas too soon. The ace up the sleeve is what son Moodley usually has. Kieran and the team will probably be telling him just to take it easy for now, doesn't need to push too hard, although he may have to up the pace slightly, because if I look in the background it looks like we're about to be caught here by the leaders, and there's a very good possibility that the lead cars have now caught onto the back end of some of the back markers and they've got through. So Ranjis and Michael Stephen have got through there. Silvio Scribanti seems to have battled a little bit to get through the back markers, not as rapidly as these two did, but they found a way through there on Moodley and Letlaka to get through, and now starting to get away. There you go, Silvio's eventually got through, but he certainly wasn't as rapid as what the other two were in terms of getting through on those back markers. A little bit of traffic, and once Ranji's got through, he's now trying to open up a bigger margin, and the reason why is he's got to try and find a gap now, or an opening to get into the pit lane to do the pit lane stop. The compulsory pit stop has to happen at some point. 5 minutes before the end of the race, the pit lane will close, so they can't go in at that stage. But any other time is open ground for the pit stops here in the GT Racing Association. Looking on the pit wall there, also just watching for pit boards to possibly tell these guys. Pit boards will tell them, but they've got in-car communication which will also be telling them when they need to dive in and make those crucial decisions. And they will be crucial, because any wrong decision here at the wrong time could basically drop you out of the top 3 or even out of the top 5. Back on board here with Spissy. So Hardy's having to work here. A little bit of understeer there for him, but he managed to catch it to come through. It's a tight little circuit, and of course across the main straight is where he's headed right there. It was a triple right-hander. You saw him getting the understeer in, and then the left-hand flick onto the main straight. That has now seen a change-up. Yep, there you go. Aldo Scrivanti's got through. And Aldo's now opened up a bit of a margin over Isak Spies. So Spissy might have had a bit of issues there with the understeer. And it's allowed Aldo Scrivanti to dive through and find a way past. No changes in the top 3 just yet. They remain as per. Arrangi's from Michael Stephen. And Michael Stephen now trying to get onto the back end of Arrangi's again and bringing Silvio along for the ride. Scrivanti sitting in 3rd place, also waiting to pounce in case something goes wrong here. Maybe waiting for an opportunity when these guys go into the pit lane. And none of them diving in just yet. But just there's the pit lane entry to the southern part of the circuit. They head up towards the northern loop now. Metlaka still keeping out Sun Mudley. The next round of the championship, of course, is down at East London Grand Prix circuit, which is Sun Mudley's home circuit. He'll be looking forward to having a little bit of hometown advantage. We'll have to wait and see if he's got the pace, and I think he's also going to be joined by his teammate Andrew Colbert, who's now stepped up from Porsche into a Lamborghini for the season. In comes Michael Stephen. Early pit stop for him. This could be a bit of a strategy to get him in and out. Oh, how lovely was that! Massive flame out of that. We're in race 1, and Charles Arangis continues to lead ahead of Michael Stephen, who's made his first pit stop. So that was a crucial bit of maneuvering there from Michael Stephen. Have a look at this. A nice comparative shot there of the 2 Scrivanti boys. Going through turn 5, heading across and over the lip towards turn 6. And that's a great effort there to see those two almost ghosting each other like PlayStation. You can see where the right line was and where the wrong line was. I'm not going to say who was the right line and who was the wrong line. Oh, we've got a safety car. The Haval Edenvale H6 has been called into duties. We've got a car that's gone off track. Let's have a look and see if it's any of the top 3. Now, the top 3 have all gone through there, so it's nothing to worry about for those top 3. Try and pick up on who that car is that's given the action and the need for a safety car as we get into the second half of this race 1. Now, I wonder if guys are going to dive in and use the safety car to their advantage. Well, at this stage, a couple of them have already dived in, and it looks like we're going to have a bit of a change up here in the front end, because Silvio Scrivanti has now taken the lead. Charles Arangis has made his pit stop, and he now basically leads on the road, but he's second on the track at this point in time. Silvio trying to get away now to see if he can get a little bit of a gap and hopefully hang on to the lead of this race. Arangis coming up onto the back end of Sun Mudley now with Michael Stephen on his tail. That's 1 and 2 in the overall standings, but currently 2nd and 3rd on the track. Silvio's going to have to try and find a margin here at some point to dive in and make his pit lane and pit stop strategy work for him. I don't know if they've got it right for this one. It might have been a costly one. I think he's just gone into pit lane now, and that's going to give the lead here to Charles Arangis. Arangis hits the front, Michael Stephen into 2nd place now. Aldo Scrivanti moving up through the ranks as well. Silvio's back out on track. So we're going to have to wait to see. Yeah, there we go. He's been caught, and unfortunately he's also lost the lead there. He's going to drop down to 3rd place, having made that pit stop at a slightly different time to what he would normally want to. Maybe have to change up the strategy now for race number 2. Silvio in 3rd place, but he currently leads on the road, even though he's sitting in 3rd place. Charles Arangis from Michael Stephen. That's 1 and 2 overall. Isak Spies now has handed over to Jade Goodsight, who's at the wheel of the 2nd McLaren out of the LSP group and Ultimate Raceway team. So Charles Arangis is just going to defend Michael Stephen for the rest of this race. He's not going to let Michael Stephen come through. He wants to take the inaugural victory here in the South African GT Racing Association Series. And round 1 here at Desi's Raceway on the south coast of South Africa. I don't think we're going to see any changes here. Possibly maybe Arangis getting through on Scrivanti if he can find a way past. Not easy to pass at the circuit though. Michael Steven want to do the same thing and go with him in case anything goes wrong. Aldo's got through and is now starting to pull a bit of a margin over Sun Woodley. Getting away from Sun Woodley and Jade Goodsight. Goodsight, multiple champion in his own right, as I mentioned. Certainly somebody who is going to be loving life at the wheel of that McLaren. Coming through. Aldo Scaramanti from Sun Woodley. From Goodsight. Goodsight's starting to close the gap now onto Sun Woodley, so looking to maybe close that gap down and spoil the day for Sun Woodley a bit more, although not much more can be spoiled as Zolila Letlaka's got through and got away from him now. Letlaka looking for a possibility of a top 6 overall in his first outing in his career at the helm of South African GT Racing. And of course there's a lot of guys that are driving that are part and parcel of the exco behind this team that puts this race series together as well. So great to see them on track as well as off track with the organizational side of things. Top 3 pushing hard, but of course it's pretty much mathematics now for Charles Ranges. He just has to keep out Michael Steven. Was very late on the back end there of Silvio Scaramanti. Very lucky not to go into the back end of that Scaramanti concrete machine. The Lambos are in full flight. The Bulls are flying here, fending off the attack from the 2 McLarens. Goodsight going well. At this point in time, looks like Jade Goodsight just loving life at the wheel of this car. He's now being caught slowly but surely by Aldo Scaramanti. I wonder if there's a bit of an issue. Just having a listen to that car as it came through, didn't quite seem or look the same as what it had on a previous occasion through there. So we'll keep an eye on whether Jade Goodsight's got some problems or not. Yeah, exactly that. He has. He's got some problems. What a pity. Looks like that car's gone into limp mode. As the leaders go through there, Jade Goodsight's going to have to try and trickle that car back in the pit lane and see if they can get that car back out of limp mode and back on track. No worries for limp mode for that car. Second place for Michael Steven at this point in time. But it's Ranges who's going to look to take the inaugural victory here in the first round of the South African GT Racing Association. Scaramanti is second on the road, but well, that's actually Aldo Scaramanti, I beg your pardon. Very difficult to differentiate between the two. But across the line goes Charles Ranges. Aldo will be right behind him, and that's because Silvio didn't quite get the pit lane strategy sorted out. Michael Steven's going to get second place, and he'll be happy with that, but I'm sure he'll change up his strategy for the next one as he heads down to turn 1 after race 1's victory. Going to Charles Ranges, Zolila Letlaka coming through there. Sun Woodley finishes up, and it'll be Silvio Scaramanti for third place in the second of the Scuderia Scaramanti Lamborghini Hurricanes. So there you have it, 1, 2 and 3 in pit lane. Michael Steven climbs out the car, he's happy with that. And there's the champagne celebrations for our top 3 for race 1.
It is non-alcoholic, you can take a
Nice comment there from the COC. It is non-alcoholic, so you can have a swig. And there you have your first 3 in the South African GT Racing Association Championship. Join us off the break for race 2. Welcome back to action from the South African GT Racing Association's round 1. Race 1 in the bag now, and it's now time for race 2 as the cars make their way out onto the circuit here at Desi's Raceway on the south coast of KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. Michael Steven on pole position alongside race 1 winner Charles Ranges. 2 Scaramanti boys side by side, this time ahead of Spies and Sun Woodley. Listen to those revs pick up. As the lights go out, Michael Steven this time is not going to make the same mistake as he did in race number 1. He's going to try and hang on to the lead, yes, and he does. Heading up the hill ahead of Charles Ranges. Silvio Scaramanti just ahead of Aldo Scaramanti as they come down through the corkscrew for the first time. Just behind that, Isak Spies now with the car sorted out. Sun Woodley behind that. Zolila Letlaka, and look out for the 2 Patamba boys pushing hard, looking to try and stay on track this time and finish up the first races of their series and their attempt to be part and parcel of this incredible inaugural championship for the South African GT Racing Association. Across the line and the first lap completed, Michael Steven hangs on to the lead. Got an hour of racing to go, so he'll just be watching in the background for any issues there, potentially with the Lamborghini of Charles Ranges. He does not want to let him through though. Saw that may need a change of strategy to ensure that the victory goes his way. All problems for Aldo. Aldo spun out at the top, coming out of turn 5, heading towards 6. And once again is a great example of the magnificent backdrop we race at here at Desi's Raceway. here in Port Shepstone. Back on track. Trying not to do any damage to the undercarriage, and there you go. Right to the back of the field now for Aldo, so a little bit of work to do for him. Michael Stephen doing the work at the front end, opening up about 2 or 3 car lengths over Aranjis. Pushing those Michelins to the limit. Zolile Letlaka doing the same thing now as he's got a bit of attention coming from Patamba. Dice in between them, you can see in the background as well. Aldo Scribanti slowly but surely catching on to the back end of the younger of the 2 Patambas, and as I say that, he's made a small mistake coming out of the bottom end and past the Hillbillion. You can see some manoeuvring from Isak Spies onto the back end of Silvio. Ooh, bit of smoke coming out of the back end there of the, is that the 45? No, it's a 55 car. I think that was just under braking. Maybe he's hit the bump there, and a little bit of tyre rub on the bodywork has caused that little bit of white smoke to come out of the car. Keep an eye on that one though. Wasn't quite what Silvio Scribanti was expecting. I'm sure they're itching to get down to East London Grand Prix circuit. Back to action from race 2 of round 1's South African GT Racing Association. Once again, Michael Stephen going at it with Charles Aranjis, and it looks like Aranjis is trying to put the pressure onto Michael Stephen. Michael Stephen is feeling that pressure, soaking it up right now, and fending off the attack that is coming from the Stradale Motorsport Lamborghini. It's the Ultimate Raceway McLaren that Michael Stephen is piloting this weekend. They're doing a whole bunch. Oh, problems there! Oh, Aranji's out of shape and up the hill and onto the banking, taking out the marshals by the looks of things as well. With a big smile on his face. Wouldn't be too happy if it ended up the other way. I was about to say, that's not a 4-wheel drive Lambo, it's a rear-wheel drive one. But needless to say, Aranji's was able to get out of that, and a little bit of body damage rolling off. He gets back on track. Incredible recovery there from Charles Aranjis. I didn't think he'd be able to get that back on track, but he's been able to do that. He comes in now, probably just for a little checkup. And yes, exactly that, just a checkup on the car. It's not his official pit stop. So he has to come in again later on, which is going to give Michael Stephen a huge advantage, possibly even Silvio Scribanti an advantage as well, to overtake the what was then the leading Lamborghini. Michael Stephen now controls things from the front end. The Ultimate Raceway man just doing a perfect job now to lead things out. Into Africa and Stradale Motorsports, Zolile Letlaka EXO at the helm of that machine, pushing hard to try and get up possibly into the top 5 this time. The demise there of Charles Aranjis, his teammate. We'll have to wait and see if Aranjis can recover. There's enough time on the track to do that. With the pace that Aranjis set early on, he certainly can make his way right through this pack of cars if necessary. Might not be able to catch Silvio or Michael if they're doing similar lap times to what he's doing. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. Scribanti pushing hard, trying to hang on to that second spot behind Michael Stephen. Still a bit of debris on the sideline there from that off-track excursion we've just seen. It's not affecting either Silvio or Aldo's pace in their Scuderia Concrete. And the Scribanti Concrete boys going at it, yeah. To see the two of them high flying. Zolile Letlaka still staying in that top 5 hunt. Not quite out of it just yet. Stradale boys will be happy with their man's progress, and watching for the man's progress in the background, of course, of the team captain, Charles Aranjis. Spies going well, hanging on for now. He'll be, of course, handing over the duties to Jay Goodsight and looking for possibly a better run than in the first race. A little bit of issues there with some limp mode issues for the McLaren. They seem to have got that sorted out now. And then the left-hander that brings them onto the start-finish straight. Bigfoot Express Freight's Son Mudley's also flying high. Into the pit lane comes Silvio. He's timed this to perfection, hopefully going to be looking to step up 1 position on the overall podium if that's to perfection, and back on track as rapidly as that. Great teamwork there from the Scuderia Scribanti boys to get him back on circuit. And I don't think he's lost that second place. If Charles Aranjis has still got to do his compulsory pit stop, which he has to do, even though he's been in for 1 pit stop. He didn't do an official pit stop, it was just to check the car and make sure there was no damage. And now we're looking to get into the pit lane as quickly as possible coming into the closing stages, so he doesn't lose a possibility of the podium. Let's just see how hard he is pushing though. Michael Stephen has done it all right though. Got the pit stop done early on, and now controlling things from the front end. He'll know exactly what to do in a scenario like this. And he's definitely not going to lose this one. as we get into the closing stages of the second hour. Coming to the line, it'll be lights ablaze. No, it won't. He's just going to come across and give the checkered flag man a bit of a scare. Michael Stephen takes the second victory and race 2 as he comes to the line. That's how close it was, yeah. Flag man is supposed to be behind that barrier, I think. But anyway, he's out there giving it everything he can. And good effort there from all the marshals and medics here at the Desi's Raceway to bring us to the end of round 1 and 2 of the South African GT Racing Association Championship for 2021. Aranjis has pushed hard, and he's done a great job. Nice recovery from him. Maybe a bit disappointed about that off-track excursion from earlier on. Bulila Tlaka, his teammate, has also had a fantastic run. And as we get into this championship, and of course with more cars coming for East London Grand Prix Circuit, we're going to be in for something pretty spectacular here with the South African GT Racing Association. Kamanchi takes the flag, and he'll be happy with his performance in race number 2. Kamanchi gets second place. Third place goes to Charles Aranjis, and there's the celebrations now for your top 3. So let's catch up now with all of our drivers after round 1 and round 2 of the South African GT Racing Association here at Desi's Raceway.
Well, as chairman of SACTRA and our first official race weekend, race 1 and 2, I mean, I can only say congratulations to the first winner. I think overall, Michael, give us your sort of rundown of this morning's race and today, and how do you feel?
I think firstly, what a fantastic opportunity to race in the series. I think it's the first for South African motorsport and can only grow. Yesterday qualified pole, so had all expectations to take a win in race 1, but unfortunately Charles outbraked me on the first corner. You know, so credit to him, he drove a brilliant race, and we settled for second in the first race, and the team did an absolute brilliant job to make some changes for the car for the second race, and led from start to finish, and the car was brilliant, and really chuffed for the team and for myself.
How do you feel about it?
Well, I'm ecstatic, Isaka. To be honest, I didn't think I'd end second because I had a little mechanical issue on the car. I had ABS failure, but I think I got lucky. But nevertheless, you know what's so exciting about SACTRA is that, you know, we had different winners in both races. We had different second places in both races, and we had different third places in both races. So whatever you're doing, Mr. Chairman, keep it up, because it's definitely leveling the playing field, you know.
Well, and now go celebrate this. I think you've earned it.
Yeah.
Well done. I saw that when I was behind the two of you, that the two brothers nearly took each other out. How do you feel when you got that bump?
Yeah, geez, I didn't see it coming, to be honest. I didn't know my brother had such aggression, but he foxed me there. He came in late on the brakes. He did catch me by surprise, and the last minute we did touch, but I gave him the room. He was quick. I mean, I did have ABS failure, but great for Aldo, and good to see rivalry between brothers, you know. It's always healthy, you know. We all want to win. We want to beat each other, you know, and that's what it's all about.
Anyway, congratulations. Your first race was a win. I mean, obviously your second race was a third place, and I'm sure because maybe you were tired or something, or I don't know what it is. Explain it to us, and how did it go?
Yeah, look, thanks, Isaac. Look, the race actually, when I got in the car, I felt good, and me and Michael were very racy at the start. It ebbed and flowed, you know. He pulled the gap, and as soon as I caught back onto him, I made just a silly mistake, and lost the rear end off the track, and I had to come into pits to make sure that the car was fine, obviously, and lost a lot of places, and I had to fight back from there. So, but kudos to SACTRA. It's a brilliant initiative. You know, I think we put up a show today.
And from our side, SACTRA, what a day. I can only say these guys are unbelievable. They're good gentlemen. And
the official results there for the overall for the day. Michael Stephen taking the victory ahead of Charles Aranjis and Silvio Scribanti. It was Isaac Spies and Jade Goodsight in fourth place, beating out Aldo Scribanti, and then a good effort from EXO to finish up in the top 6.